Hi guys, welcome to Open the Vaults. I am Manny Chima. I am joined today by Tom Layton. Here he is.
Hey, dude.
Hi Tom.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Look at him there, looking good in his vest, painting
Mate, it's
away.
just sweaty, dude. Should come north of the border. It's really, really warm.
So guys, this episode is called Allies of Convenience. Me and Tom are both headed to the Allies of Convenience GT tomorrow. Tom, as most of you probably already know, plays for Team Wales, and he is kicking it at the moment with Orcs. He's doing really well, and Orcs are going to be they're going to be your ETC army, aren't they, bro?
Yeah, I think it's a bit late to change because the deadline is Monday, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
still,
Oh, that's
I'm
cool.
still testing some stuff out, seeing what I think,
Yeah,
and
of
then
course. You always got to do it right to the line, haven't you?
exactly right into the line. I've actually got the luxury this year of not being a merc, as in like a last minute merc.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
the times I've been, I went for Ireland and Canada, and it was kind of a last minute thing.
yeah.
And specifically with Canada, I was really scrabbling to get a list around together because I didn't really play knights.
Yeah.
So I was just ending up building an
Oh, it
army
was the
last
triple
minute full
gallant
back.
one,
And
wasn't
it was
it?
just, oh mate, it was good until we hit the terrain.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
and
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and then I kicked off a bit because we'd planned the list like, oh, it can play on pretty much any board, right? Maybe the
yeah.
heavier ones are a little bit bad for it, but they're going to be removed early.
And the
And
medium
then
boards were quite heavy as well,
I
weren't
couldn't move. I could like they were legit. I played the singles event as well,
they? Oh
and in
my
three of the
god, yeah,
five
it
games
came
I couldn't
over in
move.
that one game, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
his matchup looks pretty good for you. And then you were like, yeah, but he's got one character standing between this ruin, and I just can't move.
it
I
was
was like,
like.
oh, bro,
I,
yeah,
like it was just
bloody
even without
terrain.
him blocking, I just couldn't walk. So I upset some people by constantly mouthing off about that one. It was just like
But
whatever.
and yeah,
It was unfortunate. I mean, don't get me wrong, the terrain was still good. It was just for my list and how I planned it. It just and with no communication as to how good the terrain was going to be, it really messed with our expectations, right? So it
yeah,
caused some big issues with my list. So
yeah,
it's what it is. It's fine.
understandable. That's it. Hi, Dara, how you doing, bro? Good to see you.
Oh, Dara's in. Nice.
Yeah, Dara's in. Kyle's in.
He's coming as well.
Kyle's
Is
always
Carol
in.
coming too, actually? I know
No,
Dara's coming.
Kyle's not coming, I don't think.
Oh,
So
come
I
on,
was,
Kyle.
yeah, I was speaking to him earlier, and I don't think he's coming. But I think it's going to be really good. I went over a couple of interesting lists on Monday Night Mashup, which I thought were pretty cool.
Mm.
And I thought we could talk about like round one because there's some interesting pairings, isn't there? Um,
Yeah, mate, there's quite a few cool ones going on, but even more cool ones before we had to redo the pairings because Team Wales is full of Luddites who don't know what technology is. So
oh,
we were
mate, that
struggling with
sounds
that.
exactly like me. So Dan knows everything about the tech. I know nothing.
Mate, I heard about I was here for the preamble, so I know exactly like about that, dude. Like, trying to, is the stream on? Is it working? Oh, good.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. I was like, is my mic working? Is Tom
Oh, dear.
working? We got
It's like, oh,
there.
whose internet's broken today?
So we got Robbo and Mike Collins.
Hey,
I think
beautiful.
that's a really really good matchup.
Oh,
That
the
could
first matchup, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think
Oh,
that's
you're
going to
already
be
going straight
very
into the matchup. I thought you were
interesting.
talking about people in the chat. All right,
Oh
fair
no,
enough.
no, yeah. I think
Straight in, dude. Yeah.
yeah, I think this matchup's going to be. I was just looking at it earlier, and I was like, you know what? I want to talk about this one first. I was just looking at it, and I was like, because Robbo's got obviously he's got his three Taranis Crusaders and his one Warden, and then he has
Yeah.
the minimum admit battalion with it.
Yeah.
But Mike
Where,
has got
yeah, it's
Gilly,
more nights. Yeah, it's
big,
Royal Rumble over
big
here.
Gilly. He's
Yeah.
got Bobby G, man. Bobby G's huge in that matchup, isn't he?
Yeah, and especially if Mike gets a first turn, he can do some work, but he also is really useful for bullying Matt around to a degree. I mean, if
Yeah,
neither person kills each other quickly enough, right? Bobby's just going to end up walking up, taking the center, and then Matt can't push, which is going to cost him a lot of turns in terms of objective control on the Maelstrom, right?
no,
Because I
yeah, I
like to
totally
talk
agree.
about board control, and when I talk about board control, it doesn't necessarily mean standing in certain places. It means being able to control where your opponent can actually move and taking objectives off.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when you're
exactly.
knights and you're that killy because you've got the reroll ones and you're in the center, so you're in range of everything with your 36-inch weaponry, you're ending up just pushing people off objectives because you can't even hide behind those walls.
Yeah, that's the thing. And his I think his screen is faster as well, right? The guardsmen are faster than Admech, and he can move to get to whichever objectives he needs to.
Yeah,
Company commanders are brilliant for that because they can move between objectives
yeah,
behind knights and just not get shot.
yeah.
In that matchup, so that's really good.
I mean, it will be interesting to see if Matt does have the kicking power, because Matt does have the AdMech as well, doesn't he? So he can
Yes.
give the canticles over to the knights, plus he has that extra knight in there as well. So it could be really interesting to see if the first turn is really that pivotal in this matchup, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was looking at it, and Robbo gets 14 command points.
Yeah, no, it's silly, isn't
He gets
it?
14 command points, and he's got that Admech battalion, but he
Mm,
has Knight of the Cog for reroll ones. I think you would give it to the 3 Crusaders, right? All the
yeah,
Malta guys. But then
yeah, I
he's
think
only
it would.
got 11 command points left. I mean, he can maybe get up twice. Maybe.
Yeah,
But Mike's got 17 command points.
and then he regens as well with Gulliman.
Exactly. And um I think Mike can get that off reliably like 4 times, maybe even
Mm,
5 with the CP regen. I mean, because in the night off you don't really spend your command points on anything else. Maybe
yeah.
a cheeky um re-roll on how many shots your thermal cannon gets or something like
Mm,
that. But other than that, if you've got Gilliman as well, I think that's the advantage. If Robbo wants re-roll wants to hit, he's got to use the AdMech to do it. 3 command
yeah.
points go down to 11. But if Mike does it, he's going to stay on 17 command
It
points.
depends on what Robbo wants to bank on, though, doesn't it? If Robbo just
Yeah.
gets the first turn and thinks, right, I'm just going to go full ham, try and take out a Crusader or two, right, and then at least force him to burn some CP, getting one back up, and then the other one just doesn't get back
Yeah.
up at
Yeah.
all. It could be the way he wins that game, just because he wins a war of attrition by having more knights.
Yeah, I think
But then
it's key, isn't it? I
yeah,
mean, that extra knight with that Gatler is really nice. But then
yeah,
he's really good as well. I mean,
yeah, I know, yeah.
when he makes it into a knight, he kind of smacks the crap out of it a bit, doesn't he?
And I'm not entirely sure how quickly. Again, it's first turn though, right? I don't like to talk about first turn being a
Yes.
massive thing in 40k because
Yes.
normally I take turn 2 in most of my
Yes.
games. But if you have so few turns and Mike's just stomping up the board with his knights with Bobby G behind you, not getting at that guy.
Yes. Very true.
Like, he just
Yeah,
walks
it's good
straight up.
part.
Would it even be worth Mike buying the Kurov's Aquila on his Guardsman as well, back to the CP point? Because Gulliman only regens on
On your
a
ones,
5-up, right? On your ones.
yeah.
So if that Matt is going to be winning this game based off how he spends his CP, is it going to be on get back ups or is it going to be on the damage output with the
Yeah.
canticles?
So
Right?
using Kurov so that you can get them off his
Mm.
as well as your own could be huge.
Yeah, and you're only spending 1 CP to get that relic as well, right?
Yeah. I
So
think
long
it's
as you
worth
get
it.
1 back, it's just straight value town.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you've got Gilliman rolling 5s on yours and Kurov's Aquila rolling 5s on your opponents, you should probably get a command point every battle round. So I think 1 CP is definitely worth that.
Yeah, you're getting so many guys back. I mean, it might even be worth the difference of getting a guy back up because Matt's going to be spending CP every turn
Yeah.
to try and win that. So you're getting some good value out of that one, I guess.
Okay. The other interesting matchup that I wanted to talk about is Joe Malem and Bethany Taylor.
Yep.
So Joe,
yeah.
I played Joe Malem at Bristol GT, and we had a really really good game. And
Was that a big?
Sorry.
Was that a big?
Yeah, that was a big. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really good. And I thought he was going to grudge me because he was saying about grudging me in the Allies of Convenience thing, and I was like, oh, we'll have a good game because we had fun last time. It was really really good. But then he didn't do it. I was like, oh man. Oh.
Even Venvo, mate. I think Innis grudged me as well. But it comes back to the Luddites point that we just couldn't.
Yeah, fair.
We didn't know how to do it, so we just did it. It's a
I
pairing.
looked at the pairings the first time, and I actually had Joe. It was me and Joe, and then I looked at it again like two hours later, and I was like, this.
Yeah, that was just Gaz testing the button to see if it worked. Don't worry about that.
Bloody Gaz.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
Dreadful.
But no, I really like Joe's list. He's got a bit of a mix in there. And
Yeah.
So I thought, first glance, I thought, oh, this is pretty weird. But then when I looked at it, I was like, he's got 3 Ravagers for his field plinking stuff off. He's got the 1 Razor Wing just for a bit of mobility, threatens people, makes people wrap their characters properly. Yeah, I'm a big fan of taking things that make people play differently.
Yeah, 100%.
So I really like the fact he's got that 1 flag because it means people can't just throw screens forward and leave their characters unprotected at the back. Because if it's over, it can kill a character quite nicely.
Well, even then, he's got the. Did the Death Jesters pick out characters as well in this?
I believe so. I think they're snipers.
So he's got even more character picking, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Shadows here, the Solitaire. Solitaire's pretty nice. I mean, they can't be Yanari anymore, but he's still
He's only 98 points. I'm not going to complain about
exactly.
it. It's a fine pickup.
But on top of those, the triple Ravager, triple Venom, the Razorwing Fighter, but then there's also 6 Talos in there.
Yeah, I mean, so he basically I'd imagine he just pushes up the center of the board and zones a load of stuff out, right? And tries to split you and then just picks on one half with the Venoms and then the other half with the Venoms.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Makes a lot of sense.
Looking at that, and I was thinking actually that the list is pretty good. It does, like you said, it plinks off with the Venoms and the Ravagers, and then the Talos take mid board and kind of hold it quite well.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to talk about this matchup, because I was looking at Bethany's list and I'm not sure if if those Talos are going to last very long against
No.
units of plasma destroyers. No, sorry, not 6 units,
Yeah.
3 units of plasma destroyers, but it's 655. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's like 16 plasma
Yeah.
destroyers. I've never seen so many. But then there's also 3 robots on top of that.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how I feel about the robots because in isolation they're really
Yeah,
really good, right?
yeah, yeah.
But it's about fitting them into a list and using them with a win condition.
Yes.
Because they're another one of these things that kind of wants to walk into board center and just cover. The problem you have then is that if you walk in too early and you get hit by the Talos, it's just you're going to have an issue.
Yeah, you could never move again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think board is definitely going to be important in this one.
Yes.
If Joe can get a very dense board, then I
Yes,
think that be in
that's very
trouble.
good
But
actually. Yeah, if Joe gets a very if there's a bit of an open board, then probably not. But if Joe gets a bit of a dense board, it'll be interesting. Well,
yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
it'll be very interesting to see if because obviously we're taking the Glasshammer terrain down.
Mm,
I believe we've got minimum 10 tables worth of terrain in the car, like in my car.
nice. Yeah.
Because I'm coming down alone, so we've only got the one car, but we've got minimum 10 tables. I believe we could probably get about 15 tables. If we mix like one or two of the element ruins in with it, you probably get about 15 tables. So I think
Mm,
there's only going to be 8 tables which we
yeah.
wouldn't have Glasshammer terrain on. But the small lost blockers, we've got enough of those to go around probably every table.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we can make the terrain pretty interesting. But I mean, with the Glasshammer standard, what we do is, and there'll be one. Oh, actually, yeah, there's 23 tables, and what a coincidence, we actually have bang on 23 of those. You know, the big lost blockers that we have, the 9 by 9.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at the
The really
Glasshammer
big ones.
tournament, we always put it in the middle of the board.
Yeah.
We've got
Oh,
enough to put one of those in the middle of every board.
and I think that's the swing, right? If Joe can get so you know how those work, they're kind of like an L shape, right?
Yes,
If Joe can get the side of a board, where I think there might actually be a game where
where he could
board
run into
side
the
makes
L.
yeah, exactly. If he can
Yes.
run into the center, that's going to cause Beth quite a few issues because now you can't remove Talos and you can't walk center, and all
Yes.
Joe needs to do is just sit there. So Beth can't walk forward and actually ever remove the venoms.
That's what I
So
mean.
he
I
just sits his
think
Talos in the center and it's just done.
yeah, I think you're onto it there, bro. I think for Beth, I actually think that winning the roll off is probably very important because
Yeah, I
you
agree.
want to lose the roll off, don't you? So
Yeah,
you can pick your
100%.
side, and then your opponent goes. No, sorry, you want to lose it so that your opponent picks their side and you get to go first. I
Yeah,
think she actually wants to win it because I think picking the side of the board,
is more important
Joe
than
can't walk into the L. He has to come on the outside of the L. I think that's very important.
agreed.
Because
Absolutely agreed on that one, buddy.
outside of that big lost blocker, there's not much. You can make firing arcs to see stuff around it, but if they
Exactly.
inside of it, it becomes a very difficult game.
Yeah, you can't dig them out.
Yeah, so it depends how Gaz wants to lay it out, right? Because I think we've got enough of those 9 by 9s to put one in the center of every board. I mean, that's what me and Dan do in all of our battle reports to make for a very interesting game.
Mm.
And I think it throws a lot of armies off, doesn't it? Because it makes
Yeah.
people. It's another reason about the whole making people play differently. So I really
Yeah,
it makes
absolutely.
people play differently. And when you put that big lost blocker in the middle of every board, people are like, "Oh no, this was my whole game plan out the window of what I was going to do."
I mean, if you play the same in
So
every
much
game,
more
the game
fun.
gets boring, right?
Yes, exactly.
So it's
exactly.
really
So
interesting
you've
how
gotta-
suddenly, everyone's like, the first turn's so important now. I'd rather have board side
Yes,
in
yeah,
this
because
particular matchup.
it changes, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
some people
100%.
still want the first turn because people who want to get into the middle of that want to get the first turn, but then people who don't care about getting into the middle, they just want to stop their opponent getting into the middle. They care about board side. So I think
Yeah,
it's a bit of a trade-off, and it makes it very interesting. So I think their game is very board reliant.
yeah. Or you just do what you
Pick
do
the
and
deployment zone.
you pick board side and then you seize anyway. That's the plan, yeah. That's how it
Well,
works.
yeah, that's always going to be the plan. That's always going to. If that's not
Oh,
the plan,
dear.
you're doing it wrong.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or you're probably doing it right, and I should just get punished for it at some point.
Mate, it's fine if it works, it works.
That's
Like
it, man. That's it.
optimal.
Daniel Brooks says, "Evening, guys. Evening, Daniel. Thanks
Hi,
for
Dan.
joining in." Jimmy Patterson, hi guys. Do you have a link to the lists? So speaking to Kyle earlier, mate, and they're on BCP. So I'm using BCP right now to check all the lists, and they're not anywhere else, I don't believe. And
Yeah.
earlier on, when Kyle tried to look at them, he couldn't because he's not a member of the event.
Yeah. Well, if you give BCP money, you can access it, right?
Ah, okay, yeah. So
I think that's how it
that's what
works.
it is, guys. If you pay BCP, you can check their lists.
It's called a bribe. That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Give lists.
Dara, at the moment, they are on BCP only. Oh, he just answered the question for me. Thanks, Dara.
There you go.
Those
Beautiful.
those middle terrain things are awesomely annoying. Yeah, exactly, mate.
That's why they're important.
Exactly. I think it just makes for very important games. Very
Mm.
not important, very interesting games.
Yeah.
And it makes decisions very important, don't you think, Tom? I think
Yeah, absolutely.
it changes the way that people have to prioritize what they want to do.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't change if you don't change the decisions you make based upon other factors like list matchup, right? You're just gonna end up like screwing yourself in a multitude of different matchups, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
For example, if I was just to say, oh well, I'm gonna go first, like I plan to go second all the time with my gunline list or something, and then I hit like Tau, right? And that matchup beats me if I go second, but if I go first, I might stand a chance, and I'm just continuously going second, and I don't change it up. I'm going to lose more games, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But that comes with having practice with your list and just being flexible.
Yeah, I think there's a big thing about tournaments, isn't it, Tom? I think picking up a list and just taking it. I mean, you can do well, but it's like you probably won't win a tournament by doing that. But
no, you won't.
List that you know more is probably a lot more advantageous, isn't it?
So one of the things I've been on talking about quite a little bit is if you just play the same way every game, you're eventually going to lose a matchup, right? So let's say a good example I was using was before Blood and Glory last year, where I was talking about the Eldar matchup with the Spears against Plague Bearers. And that was a weird matchup for me in that if I sat in the corner and just shot it, it would eventually just conscript me, right? But that's the standard way to play, the list. But if I was to do something a little bit weird, maybe I can bait units off to the side, and maybe I can create some space, and maybe I can earn myself some more time, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes all you need to do is, if you just play standard, you're just going to lose the game, right? But if you throw a curveball out there and you make your opponent think, sometimes that's all you need, because if you can force your opponent to make a mistake, then you'll win the game.
Yes. I think that's very big. It's a very important element of the game, isn't it? I mean,
100%.
People are concentrating so much on their own game that they forget about their opponent's game.
Yeah, there's two people.
That's a very important thing to do, right? I mean, people as well, they tend to wait to see exactly what their opponent does damage-wise and then start formulating a plan. And I think that's why people get run down on chess clocks and things. I mean, me personally, and I bet you're the same, I've kind of learnt to, as my opponent is taking their turn, start planning what I'm going to do. And then if something happens that I wasn't expecting, like they get unlucky somewhere, I'm like, oh, I can punish this bit now. Or if they get really lucky somewhere, I'm like, okay, I've got to change up to do this now. But you've got to have some sort of plan for what you're doing in your turn in your
Absolutely.
head, just so you don't burn through those 2 or 3 minutes at the start of your turn just deciding what you're going to do.
Yeah, so one of the things I used to do back in 2013 when I was first starting to play competitively was I'd wait for my opponent's turn to finish, then I'd stop and think, and then I'd do, right?
Yeah.
But if with the chess clocks you don't have time to do that, and even then, like you want to limit your opponent's thinking time as much as possible, and if you just get straight into your turn, you're doing that too.
Yes, exactly. That's it. Oh, Mike Collins joined. Hi, Mike. Hey,
Hi, Mike.
bro. We talked about your matchup with Robbo in the morning. Watch the beginning of the video. We talked about it first. Jimmy Peterson. Jimmy Peterson. Manny steps up and plays a dreadnought. Good luck, man.
Mate, take some redemptors, dude.
Cheers, man. Thanks, mate. Thanks. I'm going to need some luck, to be fair, especially in the first game.
Wait, you're actually taking a dreadnought?
Yeah, mate. The Librarian Dreadnought.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mr. Big Fist. You've seen Mr. Big Fist, haven't you?
I have seen Mr. Big Fist. I was thinking something like an Ironclad or something, equally garbage.
I know, I bet that's what everyone was thinking, but no.
Absolute trash.
Got Mr. Big Fist, guys. Bought Mr. Big Fist. He's got
you love Mr. Big Fist
on him because one day I'm going to be able to use Death Grip on him. I know they're going to change the rules to allow me to. No, it'll never happen, but still.
It'll just upgrade to an Imperial Knight someday.
I can live in hope.
Libby Dread is evolving.
Your Libby Dread has evolved
into a gallant.
Ah!
So it works.
But yeah, so there's that matchup. I think that one's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. That might be one of those it's worth going past and just having a look when our games are done.
Ah, yeah, exactly. Another one I want to look at, but I feel that it's very first turn reliant. But also,
good.
The board will make it incredibly difficult. For example, if these two are playing on a board and there's a big 9x9 in the middle of that board, they're pretty much a draw game, unless one of them can outplay the other, they'll have pretty much a draw game. And it is Chris Green, he's playing for Wales this year, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Chris,
Yeah.
love Chris, man, such a
He
laugh.
run-
So
Oh, he's a good dude.
Chris
Yeah.
Green is playing Andrew Keeling. I
Hmm.
played Andrew Keeling, Hellstorm, and he was using a Dark Eldar army, and he's not been playing 40k for very long, but he's doing really well with them.
I just noticed this is Tau squared.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh no.
he's been playing Dark Eldar for a while, and now he switched up to Tau, and he did really well at Hellstorm, and I really like him. He's like I said, he's not played much 40k competitively, but he's hit the scene running, which is always good to see, isn't it? New players on the rise,
Absolutely, yeah.
and it's Tau on Tau. And I think Tau on Tau is always a weird one, isn't it, bro? Because it's normally who goes first wins,
Mm.
but the boards, that big
I mean,
blocker, is
I
going to make
feel
it
like
difficult.
I feel like this is going to be one of your one that's more to your expertise. But would it? Here's a genuine question: would it just be who goes first gets to mount car into the center of the board and remove all the drones, and then you
Yes.
just win the attrition war?
Yes. Or more importantly, because Andrew's got two. Oh, he's got 2 units of broadsides
Yeah, Chris only has the one, but he has
and
triple
2
riptide.
riptides. Exactly. So he's got 2 units of broadsides and 2 riptides. So
Mm.
Andrew wouldn't be as successful with the Mont car, in my personal opinion. He wouldn't be as
Yeah, agreed.
successful with the Mont car as Chris would, because the triple riptides, depending on. Oh, actually. Ooh, it actually really depends on who's going first, because I just realised it's Dawn of War, isn't it? Pointy Dawn of War.
Pointy Dawn of War,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So actually, Andrew would actually benefit a little bit more than Chris
Mm.
going first, because I was thinking about it and I was like, if it's Hammer and Anvil or regular Dawn of War, the
Hmm.
broadsides won't be able to reach that big L piece turn one,
Yeah.
but because it's Pointy Dawn of War, he will.
Mm.
So
Would
I was thinking Chris's Riptides can get straight behind there, SMS out of it, and then he can jump out and get the drop on him next turn as well. So he get
would
2 turns of the max firepower, but yeah, I think he
yeah?
goes first because
Genuine question
sides
here,
get there.
though.
Yeah, bro.
So if he mount cars,
Yes,
is that all units within 6, right?
yes.
So it's not like he has to split up his drones.
Oh no.
Okay,
All
but
units within 6 can advance
yeah,
and
okay,
fire.
yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so it's like that.
Just
So I
making sure.
think Kyle says it's whoever has more shield drones. Yeah. See, I was looking at that, but I don't think one of them has ridiculous amounts compared to the other, because Chris, I believe, doesn't have any in his Riptide Blob. So
No,
he's got 26.
so I'll be relying on the 3++, won't
Yeah,
he?
he's got 26 and the command link drone from Shadowsun. So he has roughly 27 drones. And I believe Andrew has something near the same. And that's why I didn't mention the drones, Carl, because it's obvious, it does come down most of the time to who has more drones. But Andrew also has 5, 10, 6 and 6. So that's 12, 22.
Yeah, so Chris has like 5 more.
Yeah, and maybe a couple on Shadowsun or a couple somewhere. Yeah, and Shadowsun's drones as well. So Chris has got like 2 more drones maybe than Andrew, so it's not that big. But I think what it was going to come down to is deployment. For example, if it was Hammer and Anvil and Chris managed to get the first turn, 3 Riptides behind that LP's turn 1 would have done mass damage on turn 2.
Again, it's the LP, so isn't it? It's about which way round it is.
Yes, exactly. It's about which way round it is, and I think with Andrew, he wouldn't have been able to get the broadsides there. Doesn't matter which side of the LPs he got, but because it's Pointy Dawn of War, it's whoever goes first. It's going to be massive for them. But then again, if they're on the outside of that L, it could make it incredibly hard for
Yeah,
them.
that's
It's
really
just-
awkward because you can't walk through. Are you infantry actually?
No,
Broadside's
no,
infantry.
no,
Oh, so you
broadside's
can't even walk
infantry.
through the wall.
No.
That's a bit awkward.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting game, I think. But it's going to be a cagey one. I think it should be a draw type game. Unless one of them
Oh.
gets quite lucky or...
Would it not swing towards a 15-5 depending upon who can remove all the drones first? Because Chris is quite
Yes.
mobile with this,
Yes,
right? So
Chris
he
is
might be
very
able to play the Maelstrom a little bit better.
Yes,
But
that's a big thing as well. I mean, it depends on... I don't think any of them are watching, but I think quite a bit it depends on who plays their Riptides right. And I mean, Chris has more, and if somebody puts their Riptides in front of the broadsides, which will most likely happen, I think is at a disadvantage, because you can just set your Riptides up and your broadsides in range of their Riptide. So you can shoot their Riptide but then their broadsides, because they're behind, have to then move or
Mm,
montar to get you, but they can only do that once. Then after that, they'll have to
mm.
move to get to you. Then they need marker lights in range, and you can quite easily make them hit you back harder than you can hit them.
Yeah, you
So
can
I think,
kind of take the blow with a good deployment
yeah,
and
I
then
think
just go.
you've got to manipulate it a lot because I played a couple of Tau on Tau matchups, and pretty much every time I've my opponent has moved their riptides out further faster than their broadsides, whereas I
Mm,
keep my riptide sort of just behind my broads, because if they want to shoot my riptide, my broads are going to get in, and if they want to shoot my
mm.
broads, my riptide's got a further movement so he can get in anyway. And
Yeah.
quite a lot of the time I've won that matchup just because they've overextended with riptides, and it's given me the drop on the riptides without letting the broadside shoot me back, which I think is
Yeah.
huge.
Genuine question though. If you see your opponent setting up like that and you have choice of turn, do you just give them first turn?
If you see them deploying on the front line,
So you know how you were saying you could just deploy the Riptides back and then they have to Montcar and all that jazz and then
yes,
use yeah. If you see someone setting up that far back, do you just give them first turn. Now they're out of range to really do as much to you, and then you just hit them back, right?
yeah, you can do that. I mean, the only danger with that is um, if they're out of range of you, you'll also be out range of them.
Yeah,
You
this is the
risk
thing.
the draw. For example, if say I was to deploy on the back line, and then you had a tower army as well, and you just deployed out of 47 of me, so I couldn't even get you, even if I Mont card,
Hmm.
and then you give me first turn, I think I'd be very tempted to also just sit completely still and go, no, it's your first turn, Tom.
This is so.
We both just look at each other for like 10 minutes, and we've got through 6 turns.
Did you watch me play Lauga Östergaard at the Glasshammer event? I think it was last November.
Yes, is this when he had his Tau?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
No models died until turn 5.
yeah, I watched that. And this was with your Eldar, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic game, mate. I had a
Yeah,
lot
I
of fun.
thought that
Like,
it looked so funny.
and then I drew like all the mega cards, and I
Like
got
right
one
to the
like
end,
15-5.
yeah.
Yeah, right at the end, and I just launched my shining spears in.
Brilliant.
So it's like, oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, thanks for the points, bro.
Kyle said
Yeah.
also Monkai is the way you win games and do something different to throw your opponent's game plan. Yeah, that's also true.
Mm.
The Monkai is just so powerful. Monkai.
It's the only playmaking ability you have.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you agree with that.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think
Uh,
to be fair, Riptides, Riptides are brilliant too because Riptides are really durable, and I think Chris can play slightly differently in this game, or he can afford to because he has more Riptides, and it's
mm.
something Simon Prittis did to me. And if I hadn't have had first turn against Simon
Oh
Prittis,
no.
I would have probably lost the game. But
Mm.
because Prittis went second, it helped me win the game even after he did this. But if he was going first and he managed to do this, he probably would have won the game. And it was the Riptide Nova for extra move.
Yes, that's
So,
the 2d6 advance in the assault phase, right?
yeah, and basically the key thing about it is it doesn't say that you can't charge after making this move. So,
Okay.
yeah, and you do it in the charge phase, but it doesn't say you do it instead of charging. So,
Ah,
like, it's one thing that I have been doing loads as well, and it catches so many people off guard. You move your Riptide 12 inches forward, then he moves another 2d6, and then he charges 2d6, and people just don't see it coming. I mean,
ah.
if Chris can get one of his Riptides into those 6 broadsides, that will make it extremely hard for Andrew.
Well, Mysterious Bob's list just changed with that knowledge. Now he loves some of his melee
Yeah,
Tau.
man, he's gonna have Riptides doing that everywhere. Bob playing
Give him
Tau
swords and
completely
all.
differently to everyone else. He's gonna
Oh
model those
no.
Riptides with swords and now send them in double move and charge. But it's
Oh.
brilliant. It's brilliant.
Uh,
Ooh, Michael Bolton. Here we go. Michael Bolton says, "I'm facing Andy Oakham's 12 Assassins. Any advice?" Ooh.
so what exactly is Andy's list?
Yeah. So
Double check.
Andy has got 12 Assassins.
Where is he? Oh, good. Does he? Goody. Well, I'm trying to type and paint at the same time. It's kind of awkward.
Andy, here we
Uh,
go.
oh,
We've got Andy.
I'm trying to put the round results in. We don't
Oh
want
wow,
that.
it's with a guard. Oh,
So
that'd
free
be a bit
collects
tougher. It's
three
not
of
with
each.
Gilliman.
No, he's got 8 Bullgrims though.
Yeah, he's got the 12 assassins, so he's got the max. He's got 3 of every single assassin, which
Yeah.
really hurt. It's actually really, really good.
How do you even shift that list, dude? You've got 3 Calexes and the Bulgrins to remove.
Yeah, it's very hard. However, I don't know if Andy knew this, but bro, thing to Michael, thing for maybe you to remember tomorrow as well, just in case Andy doesn't know, is a Calexus. It negatives your own powers too, not just your opponent's anymore.
Oh no.
So casting that +1 save on the Bullgrin will now need an 8, not a 6.
That's only within range of the Calexis, though, right?
Yeah, so if your own Psyker is within 18 inches of the Calexus.
Yeah. So I'm guessing maybe he sticks him in the sky. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you just put them in the sky and drop them forward. I mean, depending on what Michael's using. Yeah, Michael, if you're not using a psychic army,
I'll
you
check
can
it.
bet that those Calexus are going to go in the sky, and then they're just going to drop on random objectives.
Oh, Michael.
Is he bringing his crons? Michael, are you bringing your crons?
Oh no, he's bringing his Space Marines. That's brilliant. Oh,
Wow.
mate. Okay, do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, go for it.
So he's got Huron Blackheart in a battalion of
Ooh,
Red
nice.
Corsairs.
Yeah.
He's got a Sorcerer and Terminator armor with Maelstroms by Mark of the Ancients and powers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 5 actual Chaos Space Marines. He's got 5 more actual Chaos Space Marines.
Oh.
He's got 5 more actual Chaos
Yeah,
Space Marines.
8 command point battalion. Yeah.
I know. And then he's got 3 Obliterators.
Oh, nice.
Then he's got a Spearhead with Brazen Beasts. That's got Fabius Bile in it. A Greater Possessed with Mark of Khorne, and a Demon Flesh Plate, apparently. In fact, I think that's the same Greater Possessed. Yeah, it is. But he's got a Mauler Fiend with Lasher Tendrils, 2 Venom Crawlers, and all of those have Mark of Khorne. He has a Helldrake with a Bale Flamer and Mark of Khorne. Then he has a Vanguard detachment, which is Chaos Space Marines Red Corsairs again, with a Master of Possession. That's a nice model. Another Greater Possessed, and then 9 Mutilators.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to have a big scrum in the middle of the board.
Wow. Yeah, there's going to be a
Between
big
the
scrap.
Mutilators.
And,
Mate,
you
that's
know
gonna be
what,
fun.
Michael? I think, mate, just run at it.
I think he's okay with that. Yeah.
Michael, I think you just got to run at him, mate, because he's got the 12 assassins, but Eversaws, as we all know, are brilliant, but they're very good against infantry. They're not. Quite a lot of the stuff that you have is going to be quite resilient. As Andy just joins.
Oh, fuck off, Andy.
So he's got
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry, Manny. My bad. My mistake.
It's all right, Tom. Don't worry, mate.
Everyone gets one.
Everybody gets one. Yeah, everybody gets one. But yeah, Michael is.
Oh.
Michael joined. Michael asks for advice against Andy. Andy joins. This is brilliant.
Well, he missed the advice that we gave him, so now he either has to scroll back and rewatch.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think your game is going to be an interesting one, Andy. Your game and Michael's is going to be a very interesting one. Michael, mate, I think you should just run at Oki and just run at him because that's going to make Oki panic.
It always does. It always does.
No, yeah, mate, just run at him because you got a lot of big stuff, and I mean, a Calidus isn't particularly good against big stuff. Eversaw is okay, but not great against big stuff. Calexis are there to sit on objectives and not die, essentially, if you don't have any psychic powers. So they're not going to be too good either, in my opinion. The Vindicares are going to be the ones that you want to...
run away from.
I'm playing Mike Bolton's Mad Chaos list. Advice. Giving him advice on how to play you first, all right?
Why don't you just tell each other how to beat yourselves?
Yeah, exactly.
Problem solved.
Michael, I think you just got to run him. I don't think the assassins are too great against most of the things you've got, but watch out for the Vindicares, man. Keep your characters covered and stuff like that. But I think you guys have just got to have a massive scrap in the middle of the board, and I think you've got more hitting power when it comes to hand. Because oh wow, okay, all right. You've got more hitting power when it comes to hand combat. However, that's because Oki hasn't gone for Katachan. But what Oki has done is he's gone Cadian. So Oki, a bit of advice for you, mate. Take the Relic of Lost Cadia.
What does that actually do again?
Full rerolls to hit and wound for all of your guardsmen against Chaos.
Oh.
One turn.
Still for one turn, it's still good. It's like a Kion.
Yeah. But it's wound as well. Full rerolls to hit and wound. It's pretty big against Chaos. It's really, really good.
I love how much has he got? How much has he got in terms of guns? He's got 3 squads of 3 mortars. He's got some. Oh, it's a brigade. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
It's a min brigade, so it is only 60 guardsmen, but He's got...
It's still rerolling to wound, dude. You're wounding on 5s,
Yeah,
so it's not the end of the world.
But he can make 50 of them. He can 50 of them, fire 200 shots as well. So,
it's like the good old guard blob days.
yeah, exactly. It can be really, really good. But Andy's list, I think, is not great at killing vehicles. Literally, as Andy said it, I suck at killing tanks, Mike.
I mean, how much do the tanks really do? Because Molofines don't have quality of attacks rather than quantity, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. It's going to be an interesting one. I think you guys just got to slug in them. Aren't mutilators the combat ones though?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see.
Again, that's quality of attack over quantity. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just and obviously Oki's got quantity of attacks, but they're not great attacks at all. But then Mike's got pretty good resiliency against quantity that's not quality. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting to see exactly how the mutilators do. Because
I think you guys should have a really fun one, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
it's fun game.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What are we going for next? So we just did. How did we just do?
So we've done Chris Green.
Yep. And that's right at the bottom. Yeah.
And then we've done Robbo and Mike Collins. And we've done Joe Malem and Beth Taylor. And we've done Michael Bolton and Andy Oka. We're just telling everybody how to beat each other.
That's fine. I mean, it shows that we're either big brain 200 IQ or we just don't know what we're talking about, right?
Yes, exactly.
So if we go for all of the game.
So we've either told people how to win the game or we've told them what they shouldn't do and they're going to do it anyway and then blame us.
Yeah, we're just baiting to make the most entertaining game possible, mate. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gaz Jones and Josh Roberts will be a very interesting game.
That's Loki Jones, though, isn't it?
So, yes, it is. But I think the game will be a very interesting one because I was using Deathwatch. I was using Deathwatch at one of the Cali events, Mayhem, and I played. And my list was very similar to Josh's. There was Watchmaster. There was a Librarian. Only difference is I had 4 units of veterans.
Yeah.
And then I did have the Blood Angels as well, but where Josh has got the Assassins, I had something else.
Okay, what did you have?
Exactly what it was. Oh, the Guardsman. I had some Bullgrin in my list.
Oh right, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I think it was really good, and I played Tom Higginbottom, and Tom Higginbottom was using Venom spam.
So he didn't have all one eye in his list.
No. So we played that way, and it was really good. We had a really, really good game, and the Deathwatch actually came out on top. But I think it's actually quite hard for the Deathwatch if the Venoms get slightly lucky here and there. And I mean, Gaz has brought a lot of Venoms to the fight. I think he's brought.
Yeah, he's brought 13 Venoms.
Yeah, 13 Venoms is a lot. But then he's also got 12 units of Cabalites.
Yeah, and they're all shooting out the top of Venoms as well. So, I mean, I guess he sits at that kind of 19 plus inch range.
Yes, but then also what's very interesting is Gaz's list hits incredibly hard because he's got splinter cannons and splinter rifles on all of the Venoms, on all 13 of them. So he's got a good amount of anti-infantry, and then 3 guys in each Cabalite squad have got poison shots as well. So it's quite a lot of anti-infantry. But then every single squad, and I mean all 12 squads of Cabalites, from what I can tell, have got a blast pistol and a blaster in.
Yeah, so he's really gone for as much damage as he can get in there, right?
Anti-tank guns there, and 3 Archons in his list have blast pistols as well.
He really likes just going down the route of one identity, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really, really going to hurt. I mean, I'm quite confused because he's got a Cabal of the Blackheart Battalion, which has got Archons in, and then he's got a Cabal of the Blackheart Battalion again with Archon and Ivrain. Do you say if you take Ivrain? I don't know how the Yunari works anymore.
I don't think she does all. That's going to be an interesting one. So she's got Gaze of Unneated and Storm of Whispers. I might have a White Dwarf behind me, actually. If you give me a second, I can have a look. 1 second.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I might add it back here. Because I normally keep all my rules in one section. Here we go. Yeah, look at that, mate. Look at that.
Oh, yes, Tom.
I've got the hot edition. So I can get the Ivrain's page up so we can actually learn together. What an educational stream this is.
Friends are learning together.
We all love it. So I don't think they changed Ivrain herself too much. She can still embark on any transport she wants. She still gets wounds back. She gets +1 to her psychic and deny tests. all that good jazz. So I'm guessing it's just the psychic powers that have changed. So which psychic powers does she have on there, dude?
So basically, she's got Gaze of Iliad.
So Gaze of Need is the weird smite. So it's
Oh
a
yes.
charge value of 6 on a 1 unit. Suffers 1 mortal wound, 2 to 5 is D3, and on a 6 it suffers D6
Oh
mortal
yes.
wounds.
Yeah, I was using this
And,
at the UTC.
yeah, and then
Storm of
Storm.
Whispers.
So again, charge value of 6, and if manifested, you roll 3d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of the Psyker. For each 6, the unit being rolled for suffers 1 mortal wound. So, like, if you're rolling against a unit of 30 orcs, you kill 5, maybe. So, I don't know if she's just a cheap HQ that gives you access to a smite or something, but because she can use 2 power stuff, she can smite and gaze. So,
Oh,
it's
very
still
nice.
a decent number of mortal wounds against
Yeah,
a
it's pretty good.
target,
It's
right?
pretty good. I like it. Yeah.
And she's not absolute crap in close combat either, so.
Yeah. That's really cool. I think they're gonna have a very interesting game, Gaz and
Mm.
Josh. I mean, because
Oh, and you can put her in a Venom.
yes, yeah,
So,
I,
that's
I think
another
it's gonna be
one
very.
there.
I think it's just gonna be a very interesting game here because
Mm.
it's all about board control with this one. You know,
Mm.
maybe screening out Death Watch is a good point. Screening out where they can drop.
Yeah.
The assassins are key though. You'll want to keep. I think Gaz will want to keep all of his characters either behind walls
Mm.
or in Venoms as long as he can, so they don't
But
get
yeah.
out.
Equally, if Josh deploys his Death Watch, there's a good risk that they're going to get ripped to shreds, right? So it's not like he can, just not reserve them.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Because the poison doesn't number. However, there's Terminators in there. But then as soon as a Terminator fails a 2-up and takes 1 wound, you can
Yeah.
you can bet your ass that there's going to be a blaster coming his way.
What's Josh's Warlord trait?
It's
What does
interesting.
he have? Because there's that Warlord trait that allows you to re-roll a saving throw once per game, right? So you can use that on a Terminator.
His warlord trait. No, it doesn't.
What's
Oh
it
no!
called?
Obviously, it's going to be artisan, isn't it? Probably. Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. He's done the same thing as me. Yeah. He's
Can you buy a
got
second
a
one then?
dreadnought with artisan of war, so he's got a Libby dread with
Whee!
damage. Yeah, he's done the same thing as me.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Josh.
Oh
Yeah,
dear.
I love that Libby Dread. I think he's absolutely awesome. A 4 damage Librarian Dreadnought is insane because of the -4 flat 4 is really good. He's what helps
Yeah.
me against knights a lot.
Yeah. So it's basically just there for knights and things, right?
Yes, yeah, he kills big stuff very
Yeah.
nicely. And so you know how I was saying about I like to take units that make people play differently.
The Libby Dread is one of those.
Yes,
Yeah.
because he advances turn 1 and sits in the middle of the board, casts wings, and gets to a good spot. But what a lot of people miss, and I'm going to tell people now, it's one thing that I really like doing, but people forget against me all the time. And what they do is they don't ask me; they just start putting stuff just out of 20 inches of the Libby Dread, thinking that he moves 8 then 12 again next turn, or just out of 32,
Nope.
sorry, or something like that. But you've got to remember that his movement value is increased to 12 until the start of his next psychic phase. So in his next movement phase, he will move 12 if he gets
Yeah.
wings off, and then he'll move 12 again with the psychic power. So it's that threat that I really like. Is if he's in the middle of the board, there's pretty much nowhere he can't charge. Because
Yeah.
he can move 24, then you get quickening off as well, which is the other power that everybody takes, and that gives him plus D3 extra attacks until his next psychic phase, but also
Yeah.
plus 3 inches to his charge. So he's moved
Yeah.
24, and then he should averagely charge 10 inches after that. So he can
Yeah.
averagely charge something 35 inches away. So something within 35 inches.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
Insane, isn't it?
You actively have to play around. It's like a Blizzard in Hearthstone or like Hard CC in League of Legends or anything like this. And
Yeah,
Smash
exactly.
Captains are another good example. If you don't screen properly, you're going to get punished. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
if you are an army like Knights where you just don't have the capability to screen if you're playing pure Knights and something big is getting whomped, you then have to make an executive decision as to what you're going to throw away, right?
Yes.
So,
That's
I mean,
what I mean. Like that's one of my favorite things about the Libby Dread working in conjunction with the Smash Captains is that those Smash Captains.
sorry, I just dropped a base.
That's all right.
Just dropped it again. And I didn't swear. I'm proud of myself.
If you take, oh man, I'm proud of you too. I'm proud of the restraint.
Oh dear.
No, if you take Smash Captains, you have to screen against them properly so they can't get to you. But that's my favorite thing about the Libby Dread is he doesn't really care about the screen. If you've screened out against Smash Captains but forget about him, he just moves 24 straight over your screen. I think is brilliant. So it adds confusion to people, and I love doing it. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. And so one of the things I quite like that I don't see very often is it is movement blocking, but it's a different type of movement blocking, right? So if
Yes.
you're measuring out your Libby Dread, and then I stick, let's say, a unit of Gretchen, pretty much bang on that 12-inch line,
Yes.
but maybe a little bit further forward, so you can't get your base all the way over,
Hmm.
and then you have to stay an inch away from me as well. I'm robbing you of like 3-4 inch movement just
Yes.
by sacrificing the Grot Squad, but
That's,
also I'm getting used to that screen.
yeah, that's very important.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't
So
see that
Tom,
very much at all, really.
yeah, exactly. So we've been live for like 45 minutes, guys. We've talked about absolutely everybody's list and their pairings, pretty much all the interesting ones. The last thing, Tom.
Implying
Um,
mine and Manny's games aren't interesting.
no, that's what I mean. Just before we go,
Really.
how do you feel about your game in the morning?
Um, full respect to Taff. I like Taff.
Yes.
I'm pretty confident.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
What does he have?
Like
He's got the corn smash.
he's got demons, so he's got 60 plague bearers,
Okay, yes.
and then he's got the 30 horrors, and then he's got 8 reinforcement points for either the horrors or a herald. But he also has 200 points sunk into the epitome. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the epitome is that thing that stops me running away in combat, right?
Yes.
If he beats my leadership in 3d6.
Yes.
Well, firstly, I'm orcs, so
You want
I've
to
got
be in
mob.
combat. Yeah.
And secondly, I'm orcs, so I want to be in combat with
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
So I think the deployment makes it a little bit easier for him. If it was the hammer and anvil,
Yes.
I think it'd be a little bit harder.
Yes.
I think board side pick again is very important in this one because I don't want him sticking all of his stuff in that L. But even if he does, it just takes me a few more turns to dig him out.
Yeah,
And the
another
he leaves
thing,
the L, I
another
just kill
thing I
him.
just wanted to check with you, Tom, is
Mm,
orcs, do they use
mm.
their unit number as their leadership only for morale or always?
I thought it was always. I thought that leadership value was. I
Yeah,
haven't really
exactly.
had to
Because
check it,
I
right?
wasn't sure whether it was morale or always. I mean, if it's just morale, then fair enough, he can tie you up with the mirror. But if it's always, 3d6 is
Mm.
not rolling above 30.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless he kills a few, and if he kills a few, if he rolls if he gets me to a number where he can realistically roll over that, for
Yes.
example,
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
I can then green tide.
Yeah.
And I don't
Exactly.
need to be. It's one of those games where I don't need to be pouring huge amounts of CP into my shock attack gun because I don't need to kill like a bunch of Eldar planes or kill a knight or anything like that, right? So I'm able to hold those CP for morale checks and for green tide and double
Yes,
fights.
yes, exactly. And you know what? I think that contorted epitome is one of it's one of the best units in chaos right now, and it normally hurts like bloody everybody. It's brilliant against everyone. I think you're one of the only exceptions to the rule.
Apart from orcs.
Yeah, I think orcs are one of the only exceptions, along with like Gene Stealer Corps. I
Mm.
think Gene Stealer
Well,
Corps and orcs are
especially
probably the
yeah.
two biggest. We don't care. We want to be here in combat.
I mean, especially my orcs, right? I mean, a lot of orc lists I've seen are people going down to like 60 boys,
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
you can end up taking a lot more of the tools. But I think the crux with orcs is getting the correct balance between boys and um, the rest of the toolkit units,
Right.
right?
Is it the
Like tank
90 you
busters or
have, or is it
looters
the
or smasher guns.
120?
Sorry, what
The
was that?
100.
So I have 110. So I have
Yes.
3 units of 30
Two
and
units
then
of
2
10.
units of 10.
Yes,
And
yeah.
then what I can do with that one is I've got a unit of 10 choppers and a unit of 10 shooters. I'm going to can mob up
Excellent.
either of those and
That's
create a
nice.
40-man brick jumping or a 40-man brick shooting,
Shooting. Yeah, I
right?
like it. I think that's really good.
So yeah, it gives me a few options. I think one of the things that makes orcs really, really good right now is their ability to just have an insane amount of board pressure. And by that, I don't
Mm.
mean there are just orcs everywhere. I mean, there is nowhere on the board orcs can't hurt you, pretty much.
Yeah, orcs pretty much always get to where they want to get to.
Yeah, exactly. And they hit you hard when they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's
it's about
big.
finding the
I think
correct
it's
balance.
really, really big.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so I'm glad you feel good for it.
Yeah. How about you? What are you
God,
playing up
Max
against?
Barton. What's he say?
Are you playing Max Spartan?
No, no, he said
I
epitome. Oh, he's telling me it's epitome. The
thought he played
epitome.
I thought he played skirmish games now. Oh dear. You're playing Chris Mills, aren't you? Right? We've talked about this a little bit with the night matchup, right? How do you feel? You feeling okay?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Oh, Max Barton, look, he's ripping me now. He says it's epitome, not epitome. Mate, I'm gonna
Mm.
say epitome. I'm gonna go with epitome because I think if a word is spelled Dome, it's not dommy, it's dome, surely. So I'm gonna go
You-
epitome, not
It doesn't really matter. It's not going
yeah,
to live past step
exactly.
three.
So I'm going with epitome. All right, Max. Yeah, that's right. And if you tell me it's
Uh,
wrong, I'll smash the mirror anyway.
yeah, it's a cool model though. It's a
Yeah, it's
really
a
cool
really
model.
cool model. I
Yeah.
think it's really cool. Yeah, two heralds on a mirror. What's not to like?
Yeah, and it acts as two heralds in close combat and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
it's very cool. It's
It's
very
basically
cool.
just two heralds the moment it has that ability, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool,
Cool.
really cool. But yeah, so I'm playing Chris in the morning, and I believe it's a very similar list to Robbo's. So Chris has got. I just want to see what he's got with his knights. I've not looked at it. He's got.
I can get it now, mate, if
Ah,
you want.
yes. The important thing is he's got 3 Crusaders, just like Robbo. But where Robbo really hurt me is that the extra knight, the Robbo's fourth knight was a Warden,
It's a Warden,
but
this
then
is a
that
Gallant.
fourth one had Endless Fury. So the extra Gatling was the one with the 14
Mm.
shots. However, Chris has got a Gallant, so he's got to run at me, which is what I want him to do because I have the Smash Captains. So I need that knight to come at me. So Chris, if you're watching, don't send your Gallant in. just leave him somewhere holding an.
He's in objective holder now.
Yeah, exactly. He's your objective holder. I think I wouldn't send him in unless you. I mean, unless you can get him into a spot where he can reliably get killed and hit a lot of characters with his explosion. Then yeah,
You
but
can,
if he
just
can't,
a quick question. You can fit a Gallant in those 9x9 ruins in the center, right?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's another one of those where you can just hide it
Yeah,
in the center of the board. I mean, you've got to walk around it now because you're a Gallant.
yeah.
You're not like Borgrins, but
What I mean is, I
yeah.
would keep him like behind the other knights, just so he can't get hit by a Smash Captain. I wouldn't run him forward.
I'm not saying put him in the middle because it's optimal. I'm saying put him in the middle because you can hide a
Because you
Gallant.
can hide a
and
Gallant in the
let's
middle.
just
Yeah,
do
it's
it.
cool, isn't it? I mean, you can hide a 9x9 in there, and I think it's pretty good. Like it.
Yeah.
Like it. But yeah, so he's got the. It is the minimum, I believe.
The minimum for what? Sorry, the
The
Gallant.
minimum battalion for the ad mech.
Oh yeah, he does. So this is what I ran at VTC last year. So it's 3 units of 5 Skitarii Rangers, and then 2 stock Tech Priests.
Yes.
I mean, he has got a Lucius Tech Priest in there, though. I'm not entirely sure what that does, but
Lucius. I believe they have a stratagem of some sort.
but probably just so we can have access to it.
I mean, the grayer one is deny power, right?
Yeah, it is.
And the
On a
Lucius
4+
one is
20
the
point
other one.
range.
Yes. So it's an interesting one because he's got triple Crusaders and a Gallant. So Robbo had a triple Crusader and a Warden, and he did very well against me. But I did have Bullgrin in that game. I have lost my Bullgrin, but I've doubled the number of Guardsmen. So
Yeah.
you know.
That Gallant is going nowhere for you.
Yes, exactly. I don't think it's going to get to me
Unless you
unless I
start
want
charging.
it to. I think.
Yeah.
But then I've got the Scouts as well. I've got the 3 units of Scouts, so I could stop
Yeah, you've got loads of
fire if
screening.
I want them to.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is Robbo's caused me a lot of issue because they managed to get back up. 2 knights in that game. So I killed 3 over the course of the game, and 2 got back up as well. So, but even after that, I killed 3. So I killed 5 knights essentially. Obviously, a couple of them were just 3 wounds again and 2 wounds again. However, they went down and they got back up and they acted normally, each one of them. So he effectively had 2 extra Crusaders in 2 turns, which is what swung the game, I think.
It's a big swing.
But that made it
To a draw.
10-10. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Our
exactly.
ATC scoring was 10-10. It was pretty good. So I was really happy with that result against Knights, I think, with my list. And I think it's going to be an interesting one in the morning. It's all on. I think it's on Chris's Knights and the saves. I think it's on his
absolutely.
saves. On his saves from Smash Captains. If I whiff my Smash Captains and he rolls well saves, he won't need to get back up. So it'll be the same kind of situation as with Robbo when Robbo got back up. So it's gonna be tough for me. I think it is gonna be tough. I think it is gonna be a tough one for me.
It's still quite difficult to dig you out, though, right? Especially with the Knights, 'cause the only way is to run at you, and that's just what you want, right?
Yeah,
So.
exactly. I mean, Chris, mate, I think the main thing I would watch out for is the Libby Dread. So I have a plan for you about what you could do to make sure.
So you're giving him advice, but not too much advice.
Yeah, so I have a plan for what you could do to stop the Libby Dread getting in and killing a knight, because if the Libby Dread, from experience, my experience personally, if the Libby Dread gets into a knight, he will kill it if he's buffed, because he has 3 attacks. He'll get plus D3 with Quickening if you get it off, and plus D3 with Red Rampage. So he averages 7 attacks. And if I send him out on his own at the start of the fight phase, I give him, I think it's called Wisdom of the Ancients or something, where if you're within 6 inches of a Dreadnought, you get to reroll hit rolls of 1. So he doesn't need anybody with him. So he's got 7 attacks. He hits on 2s with rerolls, which should be 7. And then he wounds on 2s against knights because he's strength 10 with +1. That should be 6. So averagely, he does 6 wounds. It's -4, so you don't get a save, and it's 4 damage, so that's 24 wounds. So if you're not
So one banger knight.
Tyrannus, he wipes a knight in one go, averagely, if he rolls averagely.
I mean, even if he rolls below average, it's still a lot of damage,
Yeah,
right?
it can do a lot of damage. So that's the thing. It's very dangerous. So I would try and keep that Libby Dread out by as many means possible as you can. And I have a plan for how you can do that, but I'll tell you about it tomorrow
After the game.
I mean, unless you pick up on it and you do it, then I'll just tell you in game. I'll be like, well done, mate. You've just
You've got it, bro.
Nice, you ruined my plan.
I mean, yeah, and Manny's totally going to lose the game now.
Yeah, and like, yeah, that's the thing, man. Is Chris is a really nice guy as well. And
oh, he's a good dude.
he's
Yeah,
going to know what he's doing with his list as well. So it's not going to be an easy one for me at all. I don't think. I think Knight is one of my harder matchups. So it will be a very good game. Very interesting.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've got some tools in there just to specifically deal with it, right? Yeah, so it should be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, exactly. So Tom, just before we go, guys, just before we leave you all, on a thought, who do you think is going to take the event?
I mean, I've got to back myself, right?
No, you've got to back yourself. Yeah, you've got to back yourself.
You've got to back yourself.
You've got to pick someone else.
If I'm not allowed to back myself, let me have a look at the. Let's have a bit of
yourself, man. You always got to back yourself. And I mean, orcs are one of the best armies for options right now. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, man. There's a lot of old school players here. There's also like quite a tight pack at the top as well, I think. But if I have to back someone, I'm probably just going to go Chewie because he's always the same.
Okay, guys, I was also going to go Chewie.
Of course you were.
Yeah, Tom. I think.
I genuinely think Chewie is a brilliant player.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's
I think
world class.
Chewie's going to do it. But I've got to say my decision's been influenced because we're playing Gaz round 1, and I think if Gaz plays that game well, then he could beat Josh. Yeah, that's what I mean. If the Venoms are played well.
No, it's not about that. It's the implication if he loses now.
Oh no.
Suck your flames, the guy.
Oh no, not like that. I mean, if Gaz uses Venoms in the way that I think they should be used against Deathwatch, essentially. But I obviously don't want to give too much away. But he could actually hurt Josh quite a lot. Because otherwise I probably just so we didn't pick the same person, I was going to pick Josh because I think Josh is going to do very well. But I think he does have a tough game round 1.
Yeah, like I think there are a few bad matchups in there for Josh that could cause him some issues or at least make him drop a couple of points. Yeah. Whereas I think there's a good chance that Tony goes 100, right?
Yeah, there is, and it's because
I'm not sure what's going to beat Tony.
Yeah, it's because I was looking at it and I was looking at Tony's list, and Tony's got a really, really solid list, but then he's playing against Imperium, but with Raven Guard. There's lots of Raven Guard. Dreadnoughts with twin las cannons. And and I'm like,
but you can get with him at 12-inch range,
right? It's a cool idea. It's a really cool list, but Chewie's army is insane against those kind of things. I mean, Dreadnoughts they can't hold their own when they get shot by 5 Crimson Hunters.
Yeah, they evaporate. Yeah, they just get killed.
I mean, Chewie's list is so cool. So it's not cool. It's
Yeah, it's Chewie's list. It's full of planes.
Yeah, it's Chewie's list, and Chewie loves his planes, and he's absolutely awesome with them. And the thing is, you don't just win by taking planes. The target priority on planes is actually very important, and Chewie does it perfectly.
Yeah, he's very, very good with them.
And he's got the 20-man Guardian Defender unit, and I think that's awesome with the 9 planes.
Well, you also clear
20-man Guardian Blob. I think that's wicked. So I believe Chewie's going to take it as well, mate. So.
Yeah, I think I agree. Before we go, I'm okay to drop a very quick plug. Is that right?
Of course, mate, of course.
Brilliant. So every Thursdays, I'm live on Twitch TV at The Honest Wargamer. So that's www.twitch.tv/The Honest Wargamer for Ladies' Night and 40k Night, so 7 p.m. until like somewhere between 9 and 11, depending upon how much we got going on there.
Maybe you could get me on one of them, bro.
I would love to, mate. We'll have to do a specific interview section at some point, dude. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. We've had a laugh, haven't we? So
yeah, it's been good fun, man.
That's it, man. I just want to say before we go, guys, is remember to tune into Monday Night Mashup if you want to know how me and Tom got on. I mean, actually, Tom, there's another thing, mate. Would you be interested in coming on Monday Night Mashup on Monday?
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
how we
Yeah,
got on
I've
the
got
weekend.
my Monday night is actually free for the first time in about a month.
Very
So
nice.
yeah,
That's
perfect
awesome.
timing.
So guys,
Love it.
if you're elite members, perfect. If you're not elite members, become elite members because I'm back on again. And if you want to know about how our weekend went, how we did in our games, and also how the winning listed, and me and Tom will break stuff down and tell you exactly why they won the games that they played, then join us on Monday. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks, Tom, for coming on. Thanks for coming on
Anytime.
Monday too.
Thank you for the
And we'll see you
invitation.
later, guys. Peace.
Bye.